Hey beautiful women, Shakti here. Just making this little live about my upcoming offer, which I'm really excited about, called Rapture. Don't you just love that word? Rapture, rapture. Rapture expresses so much what I'm about and what I am here in the world for. Rapture embodies and expresses the delight, the ecstasy, the bliss of oneness, of communion, of alignment with Source, with the God and the Goddess within. That is what it means for me. For me, it's also a very sensual, sexual, spiritual experience all in one. And then I want to just tell you a little bit more about how this has come through and what I know about it at this point. So, gosh, where to begin? Perhaps I'm going to begin by telling you a little bit about an experience I had one day about 4 or 5 years ago when I was in a meditation stroke yoga hall on the Thailand island of Koh Phangan in a tantra workshop. And before you go away imagining all kinds of crazy lurid things, everyone is dressed, there's no nudity, there's no sex going on, so forget what you think tantra is. Let me tell you now, tantra is a series of practices and a way of life to support you into the realization of your true Goddess nature essence. It's a practice and a process and a way of life that is about self-realization, about spiritual awakening, right? So I'm in this workshop. I've been breathing consciously with awareness into my body. I've been moving and dancing a little bit, and as my energy, my sexual energy, which means my Kundalini Shakti energy, has been flowing through my body, I'm beginning to open more and more into an expanded state of totally blissful embodiment and total presence. And then the teacher gives the guidance to turn towards the next person that you see, and I happen to lock eyes with a woman. And then to begin to walk towards one another with our hands over our hearts. And so we began to very, very slowly walk towards one another. And as we did so, her face transfigured into the face of my ex-lover. And all I could feel and all I could see was love. And I began to weep, these tears flowing down my face as my heart opened. And then we came to sit back to back, me and her, and we proceeded to be guided into a very simple tantric practice to breathe into the body. And as we breathed into our bodies, to raise our Kundalini energy and let it flow through us. And so we did. We both back to back deepened into our breath. We deepened into physical sensation. We allowed this opening of the Kundalini Shakti energy to flow through our bodies. And as this continued, I was weeping tears of joy, of ecstasy, of delight. And I had this experience that I was making love with God. That is what I remember of that experience. It was blissful. It was ecstatic. My heart was blown open. I was filled with love. I was filled with light. And I was just weeping with the joy. So for me, that was one of the many experiences I've had of what I would call rapture. So starting in May, I'm going to be leading a 6-week immersive online course for women to share with you the tools, the techniques, the insights that I have gained on my journey of sexual and spiritual awakening that took me to that point and actually beyond, so that my understanding of myself as a woman, my capacity for pleasure, my knowing of sexuality as divine. I'm going to share with you those insights. I'm going to share with you some, not all, because I wouldn't have time to share them all, of the practices that took me to that, from the place where I had been 10 years before that as a single mom with 2 young children who hadn't had sex for 4.5 years, whose vagina had torn during childbirth twice, who thought she would never be able to have sex again and was absolutely devastated, who'd had an amazing sex life until that point, but actually amazing in a very normative way, and there's nothing wrong with that. But as I then stepped into a more expanded experience of my body, my sexuality, Kundalini Shakti, through Tantra, through yoga, through meditation, through breath work, through body work, through energy healing, this very restricted and normative experience of sex, even though it was great, completely shifted. And as I stepped into this healing path, because I wanted to have sex again, and I wanted the sex that I had to be framed within a context of the sacred, I had no idea about the goddess. I had no idea what Kundalini Shakti was. I had no idea what Tantra meant. I had none of that. But I stepped onto this path from my own desire for healing so that I could have sex again, and so that I could have a beautiful, healthy relationship, because that experience of my vagina tearing and not having sex for 4.5 years ended my second marriage. So I was determined to get to the root of that, and I was determined to find what it was I needed to find to heal and to expand my sexuality. I don't even know what the answers were, but I stepped onto this path of exploration, and it opened me, it healed me, and expanded me in ways I could never ever have imagined. And this is the thing, when I speak to some women now and I talk about this, and I speak, and even if I just use the word sex, there are so many connotations that come with it that are because of your own experience, that may have been painful, that may have been difficult, that may have been limited, that may have shut down, and that is your experience. But I know that if I'd have gone back to myself 10 or 15 years ago, then I would probably have had that same thought. And it's only in the experiencing of something markedly different that I can now say what I'm saying to you now, which is that your sexuality is central to your essence as a woman. And this has nothing to do with how you look. It has nothing to do with your shape, your size, how old you are, how young you are, how beautiful you are, which is just an external reference point that's governed by cultural norms. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got nothing to do with whether you have a partner or not. This energy is there for you, as you, to awaken and inspire, elevate, and return you to your true self. And if this energy is cut off or distorted or playing out in shadow ways, you're not living your fullness. And my passion here is to inspire as many women as I possibly can to live your fullness, to live your full, expanded, ecstatic potential. As a woman, this energy comes into the body and fills the body as bliss, as divine, as ecstasy, as rapture. But it's also an awakening force that expands your consciousness, that expands your sensitivity, that opens your intuition, that deepens your wisdom, that empowers you authentically, that allows truth to speak through you. that enhances your magnetism and your radiance, not with makeup, but as an energy that is shining and glowing and radiating from within you, because you're feeling this energy alive within. So this is my experience, and this is my passion to share now. And the movement we're going to go through with this Rapture immersion is going to take you through. There are 18 chapters in the book that I'm writing, so we're going to have 18 different experiences along the way, undoing the patriarchal patterning, because all of this contraction, all of this limitation, it comes from the patriarchal narrative, which has reversed the truth. So it's like we have to unpick, we have to undo, we have to unfold, we have to remember, we have to unveil. And as we do, more and more of our beauty, our radiance, our erotic nature, our sensuality, our love begins to shine through. And all in our realm are blessed, and everything in our realm is blessed. Imagine a world where every woman stood in the light of her divine feminine nature, where every woman stood in the light, basking in the glory of her rapture. How amazing and different would this world be? And this is our calling, and this is what I'm calling you to. So if you want to know more about this, let me know. Send me a personal message, post a comment below. I'm going to be putting some more of the details together over this weekend, ready to send out to those who've already inquired next week. But I am so excited about this, because this is what the universe is telling me to bring through right now, and it feels really, really, really aligned. And I know there are so many women in this group, because you know, when you join this group, most of you fill in answers to a couple of questions. So I know that this area of the awakening feminine, of sacred sexuality, is really important to many of you. And there's this longing and this hunger for a deeper embodied experience of who you truly are. And that's what I want to guide you into and through. So let me know your questions. Let me know if you're interested, and I will be posting more over the coming weeks. Thank you for watching and being with me, and so much love.